Mark and Paulette here, the two travelers in Mexico. And today we're going to talk to you about 8 things that you need to be prepared for when moving to Mexico. Number 1 on that list is credit, or credit cards. Now, if you have great credit in the United States or whatever country you come from, that does not translate into good credit in Mexico. When you get here, you'll find out that you have no credit, and you'll have to reestablish, just like a 16-year-old applying for credit the first time.
The thing is, though, you're, you shaved right here, I just noticed.
Very good, very observant. She gets 1 point for that.
When did you do that?
A couple days ago.
Oh, stop. What was I going to say? The thing is that your credit card will work on, you said Amazon Mexico.
Yeah,
right?
The American credit cards, sometimes they work on Mexican sites, sometimes they do not. My American card works on Amazon.com, .mx, but it will not work on, say, Mercado Libre and a couple other sites too, and they don't work well for paying some of the online bills. So that's something that you need to be aware of too, is sometimes you can have to pay for stuff in cash.
And you go to a local OXXO.
OXXO, yeah.
Or OXXO.
OXXO, yeah.
Which is like a 7-Eleven on just about every corner.
Mm-hmm.
And they charge a little fee. I think it's like 10 pesos or something, which is like 50 cents.
Yeah, it's pretty nominal.
Something like that.
So.
And the next thing we're going to talk about is leaving family behind.
Numero dos.
Dos. Mm-hmm. That can be really tough for a lot of people. Leaving your grandchildren, leaving your children, leaving your siblings. It's one thing to go on vacation and maybe be gone for a couple of weeks, but it's a whole different ballpark to up and leave, relocate without your family. It's something really to think about,
Yeah.
I know we had to do a lot of thinking about it. But our kids are in their 30s, so they're adults. They can take care of themselves. And our grandsons are 16.
Mm-hmm.
They just turned 16. And, we have the grandkids over a lot on the, for weekends during the summer, stuff like that. Not that they lived that far from us. They were only like about a little over an hour, maybe about an hour from where we lived, something like that. But, there comes a time in all of our lives when friends and sports and all that becomes so much more important than your grandparents.
Yeah.
And that happened to us, just like it happens to everybody. It's part of the growing up cycle. So, we were okay with that. We were okay leaving when they were 14 because they really didn't want to come over anymore. They wanted to, they had sports every weekend just about, and we did go to a lot of their sporting events. But, it's just the dynamics there changes, as you start to grow up, and we accepted that. We were okay with that, and we figured that was a good opportunity for us. Mm-hmm. And there's FaceTime, which is great.
Yeah.
FaceTime is great. There's dual WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Facebook FaceTime.
Many ways to stay in contact.
Yeah, many ways to stay in contact with the people that want to stay in contact with you. That's it for family. It's really something to consider. Not everybody, I think, is able to do that.
One more thing I want to add. I mean, you may be okay with it now, but, as time goes by and you miss people's birthdays and Christmas and things like that, not being there in person, you really have to figure out if you yourself are going to be okay with that too.
Again, you really got to give that some deep consideration if you can do that.
Right. And no, you really have to figure out if after you move to Mexico, you're for whatever reason going to be homesick for the United States again and visiting family.
Us, I mean, well, don't sound so cold there, honey.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
we do miss our children.
Yeah, we do miss
and
our
our
children.
grandchildren, you know,
Yeah.
our siblings, my sisters, my brother. You know, Mark has 2 brothers. You know, stuff like that. My parents are gone. His are not. But you know, again, it's a lot to consider. It's really a lot to consider.
We're going to talk about automation. Now, when you go to government buildings here in Mexico to get something done, whether it's to get your immigration,
IMSS insurance.
EAMS or INM, plan on making at least 2 to 3 trips before you actually get what you wanted to get accomplished done. The first thing that'll happen is you'll go in there, you'll see someone at a counter, they will give you
Head straight.
a lot of times a receipt, which you then have to take to the bank, and then the bank
It's like a barcode
Yeah.
that they give you on a piece of paper that says how much it is that you need to
Right,
pay.
and then you pay that amount, it goes into the account, then you take the receipt that you get back from the bank, back to the governmental office or INM, wherever you came from, and present that, and hopefully you can get your business wrapped up then, but sometimes
Not
it
always. Not
doesn't
always.
happen, you'll forget
The
things.
timing is wrong, you can't get in on time. Maybe one thing was forgotten. You know, I mean, mostly everything has to be, you know, T's crossed, I's dotted here in Mexico for things to go through with government authorities
Yeah.
on paperwork. And
And just an important side note, always carry a utility bill, like an electric bill, with your address on it. Doesn't even have to be your name, but
right.
it's got to have your current address because most government offices will ask to look at that. I think it's really so they can just verify your address and you're not just making something up. Anyway, that's my guess.
You know, and I think in a lot of ways, and again, don't get me wrong, we love Mexico, but in a lot of ways, I think that in a lot of things, I'd say at least 20 years behind from the United States. And it seems like Mexico wants to follow the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I wish they wouldn't, but they seem to want to follow whatever the United States does. But on paperwork and things like that, sometimes they're really not automated. I mean, we've went into official government offices to do things, and they've got boxes just stacked with paperwork and individuals and what have you. It doesn't really seem to be as automated as you would think by 2022.
In a lot of cases, when they type up a document, they're still using a typewriter and paper.
Oh, right. We had to get
Like that.
we were just in, I don't even know what office that was.
Yeah, we went to get our Inapat card.
Which
our
is your
address change.
senior discount card. You have to be 60 to get that. We had it for Morelia. But when I went to go pay the property taxes, they would not allow me to get the discount that you get, which is about 50% off your taxes. They explained to me that I needed a Inapan card from here, San Luis Potosí, in order to take that discount. I thought that once you had one, it was good for whatever, but apparently not on paying your taxes. So we went there, and they use an old-fashioned tan typewriter to type everything up. It's not in the computer where they send it out and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's a throwback to the '80s. You know, we're not complaining by any means.
Right.
It's not better or worse. It's just different. It's a much slower pace here. Things move more slowly. So if you're a type A personality, especially, just be prepared for that.
Queen wave. The next thing is about central heat and air. Doesn't exist. Why? I'm not sure. I think maybe a lot of people can't afford it, and they've never incorporated that inside homes when they build them.
Yeah.
And that's my guess. I'm not sure. Or maybe they just feel like they don't need it. They just bundle up and and suck it up during the cold months. And, when the warmer weather comes around, they're okay with that.
Yeah.
I think the only places that really has that wall unit, what did you call it? It has
It's a split system air conditioning unit. And I think a lot of places, like the warmer places, have it, like in the Yucatan Peninsula, probably on the west coast of Mexico. I think a lot of those places, or at least the hotels, have it. But I think for the most part, once you go over a certain amount of electricity, it gets really, or kilowatt hours, it gets really expensive to use. Now, we don't have any air conditioning in our house, and yes, it does get cold in the winter. It gets down to 66 inside our house.
Here's the temperature thing. I brought it outside to see what the difference was. It's 66 out here, so our house and outside is no different. It doesn't feel that cold because our patio area has very high walls. How high would you say these are?
10 or 11 feet at least.
So it pretty much blocks a lot of the air and the wind in our outside patio.
The good thing is that in the summertime, our house still stays relatively cool.
Yeah, the temperature here where we live in San Luis Potosí, it's cold in the morning during the winter time, and it blows off and it gets nice outside. I would say probably in the high 70s, low 80s. And then in evening time when the sun starts to go down, you get that wind coming up, you get that cold again, and it drops down to about 44, something like that. Maybe later on in the night around 40. The coldest the inside of our house has been is about 66 so far. So we just bundle up and stay warm, put on some socks and shoes, because I always live in my sandals, like I have them on right now when it's 66 outside. But we just bundle up, put on a nice sweater, some socks and some shoes, or some socks and some slippers, and sometimes a throw blanket if we're watching TV or something like that. But I mean, it's manageable, That's something also to consider about, the move to Mexico. A lot of things that the U.S. and Canada and things like that have, Mexico doesn't. So, be prepared for that too.
Now, because we don't have heat or air conditioning, we really just have lights. A lot of our stuff is our stove, and our water heater is gas. But our electric bill runs us about $10 every 2 months.
Yeah, about $10 to $12 every 2 months, which isn't bad. But we picked a house that has pretty good lighting. That was really important to us, since our apartment in San Luis was like a cave.
Yeah, it was.
And it was freezing.
It was a freezer, basically.
It was really cold. I mean, we thought it was like 57. That's cold.
And then you go outside, it would be like 85.
Yeah. So if we got too cold, we would always step outside for a while, take a walk into town or whatever, get something to eat, come back, be a little bit warmer, and then about 20 minutes later, have to bundle up again.
Number 5, still
basically
in the house's subject. Here in Mexico, probably 90% of the houses here are attached to on at least one side or both sides.
Like a row house that you would find.
Yeah. Occasionally you'll find a standalone house, but that's pretty rare.
They do exist.
You'd have to go out to the more rural areas, and there are a couple that we've noticed in San Luis, but it's pretty rare that happens. So, when you come to Mexico, just be prepared for that. You'll have neighbors on both sides, kind of like living in an apartment complex, and you'll hear them on both sides sometimes.
I think because we did a lot of walking around San Luis Central and stuff like that. We live in San Luis Potosí City, not on the outskirts. So, there are a lot of houses. I mean, we looked at a couple that were standalones.
Yeah.
They do exist. They're older homes. I think what they're doing is with the newer homes, because it saves on cost, everything is attached. And if you don't get the homes that are like row houses where your walls are attached and they're, again, cement and mortar, so, You hear people going up the stairs, you hear a lot of noise, you hear something drop, you hear a lot of noise. You just got to get used to that. That's another thing to consider about Mexico. Mexico is noisy.
Yeah. And I would say, like a high percentage of the houses here are two-story houses too.
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, they build up. The lots aren't that big, but they build up. So.
Right, more for your buck. And so a lot of the newer houses, like our house is maybe, I think it was about a year old when we got it. We've been here for 8 months now. Yeah, a lot of them are building or apartment complexes, where you got somebody above you, below you, beside you, and beside you is another option. And you can buy those, call them condos or whatever you want to call them. You can buy units like that too. And there are some older homes that you can buy that are separate, or you can buy a lot and have your own home built.
Yeah. Number 6, culture shock.
Kind of like what we were talking about, but more. Go ahead. Do you want to add?
They're just, it's just, Mexico is just different. You'll see a lot of dogs running around in the streets and stuff. I don't know that they're homeless or people just let their dogs out during the day to run around.
I think a lot of them people leave behind. Yeah. And it's sad. It really makes me sad. A lot of dogs are also more of watchdogs for the property. Yeah. If you're from, the U.S., wherever, Canada, we treat our animals like family. You won't see that so much here. It was really bad too in Ecuador when we visited there. That was another place we were considering moving to, but it was too far, so it was off the list. But you will see that. Like a lot of times, like they'll have the dogs up on the roofs as their watchdogs, and in their driveways when they have the gate. That's either a solid gate or a see-through gate. Yeah. The dogs are usually outside all the time. Yeah. I mean, all the time. Yeah. A lot of them don't even come inside. Yeah.
So I don't know if this qualifies as culture shock or not, but there is really no code enforcement here. So you will have loud
Do
parties.
Do what you want.
Basically, you'll have loud parties that start at like 10 p.m. and go on until 5 in the morning. And it's just people having a good time,
It can be loud though, like when they have their, what do you call those? Karaoke machines. Karaoke with their, microphone. Yeah. It can get loud.
Yeah, we've experienced from a couple houses away some fairly awful karaoke parties. Or at least singing anyway. But another really cool thing is people just will, open up a street side stand somewhere and sell whatever on the road, and no one bothers them. No code enforcement comes by to kick them out.
I think somebody did tell us something about that they had to have something, I thought, like for those like little wagon things, like those little trailers maybe. I'm not sure. Leave a comment below if you know the answer to that. That's what I heard.
Who knows?
But Mark's right. I mean, anybody can set up whatever, ladies can lay out their blankets, or gentlemen, and sell jewelry
or food or
blankets, scarves, pictures. I don't know. I mean, you see the most bizarre things sometimes sold on the street, like baseball bats. Like you'll be at a stoplight and they're selling baseball bats. Or they'll sell those Mario hats.
Oh, yeah.
Mario hats.
At intersections. That's the other thing, is be prepared to, of course, every time if you're driving, when you pull up to an intersection, to get your windshield washed, or B, to be offered to, buy Super Mario hats.
They come down the lanes when it's red, and they come up to your window and they show you the stuff and whatever, and you got to be really fast with the windshield wiper people, because if you're not,
they'll squirt your windshield with water, and then you really have no choice at that point.
Yeah, I mean, some people I see, don't react that fast, and they start to do it, and they don't pay them, and then they kind of wipe it off and move on to the next vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
Number 7, be prepared to be prepared to meet a lot of friendly Mexicans. I mean, Mexicans here, they live their life outdoors. There's been plenty of times when Paula and I have been doing something in our driveway and people just walk up and start talking to us. That's how we met a lot of our neighbors, just walking around our neighborhood. They'll come out and talk to us, or
feeding the dogs in the neighborhood in my driveway.
Dogs, yeah.
Like there's like a group of people that put in some money to support the street dogs here. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of time, I mean, I have like 2 bags of dog food and I don't even have a dog. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of people are kind-hearted that way and will buy dog beds. In fact, that's something I told you that I wanted to do for those other dogs. And I named the dogs, not all of them, but I named some of them. And they're friendly dogs. They're not, vicious.
Let's be honest, you've named most of them Fiona.
Well, Fiona is my favorite name. That's true. So the females are usually Fiona and the males are usually Fred.
Yeah.
But there's other names too.
Mm-hmm. Just walking around on the street, people passing by will say, buenas noches, and you don't even know them. It's just, when you go in and sit somewhere in an office or something, or people come in and that's the first thing they say is, buen dia.
On the buses.
Yeah, on buses and stuff. It's just a normal thing that people say.
Yeah, it's just friendly. And I think that once you become their friend, you can become part of their family and go to all the events and get invited to things.
Birthday parties, things like that.
It's just a different culture than it is. I can only speak for the United States because I lived there for 59 years. But, people in the United States, they go to work, their lives are busy, it's like keeping up with the Joneses. They come home, they go inside the house, and then you don't see them again.
Right.
So you really don't have that much of a relationship with your neighbors, I don't think. I mean, there's people that live in areas for 30 years that don't even know their neighbors.
Yeah.
I was not that person. I'm pretty friendly. In Mexico, it's wonderful. Your neighbors will invite you to parties. It's really
much
nice.
Warmer, much more social here.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, a lot of Mexicans live their lives outdoors, and so that's how, socially you meet a lot of people, is just being outside.
And just really kind, one of our neighbors offered to, Mark wasn't feeling good a couple of weeks ago after we got back from the Yucatan, and he offered to go, to the pharmacy and get something and bring it to our home. It's like, who does that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's rare in the United States. The friendliness just isn't there, and I can say that because I lived there. 59 years, so that's my personal opinion, my experience.
Yeah.
Next.
Ocho, mail delivery. Now, if you're sending something through, hand-delivered mail, it could make it to your address in Mexico in 5 or 6 or 7 weeks, or never.
We did get a Christmas card that we mentioned in another video from my friend Diane, and about 5 weeks later, it showed up on our driveway, and it looked like it was roadkill. It had been run over by tire marks all through it.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised because I tell people when they say, "Oh, what's your address? I want to send you something," or send you birthday cards or whatever, and it's like, no, don't, because I may never see it.
It may or may not get here.
And the delivery is also, which we've seen, is a bicycle with
just people on bicycles, no mail trucks like you see in the U.S.
Nothing like that, like with a basket or some kind of a fold over or whatever with the mail on the pocket sides. So that's the only way that we've ever seen stuff delivered.
Now, having said that, like FedEx works very well here, as does DHL. So those services work pretty fast and they're expedient.
It's a little expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people don't bother. Just call me, FaceTime me. Yeah. Happy birthday, hello, miss you, blah, blah, blah.
Anything that gets sent here has to pass through customs and stuff, so they can make sure you're not shipping.
Or just pass through that, who knows, it passes through somewhere in the universe. Not to you, but it passes through somewhere.
Yeah.
We are thankful for you guys that subscribe to our Facebook, Two Travelers in Mexico page, and also to our YouTube channel. We're never going to be big on YouTube, I'm sure, because we talk about things, our life and things like that. It's not like, wow, like we almost got murdered.
No.
It's not one of those, what do they call those titles?
Clickbait.
Yeah, we don't do that. We just talk about, information in Mexico for those that want to know more about Mexico, that are considering retiring to Mexico, and those that want a vacation here for, an extended period of time, something like that. And
now we do have a fair amount of travel videos too in Mexico, but ours, like I say, our channel is more about just day-to-day life.
Getting driver's license, getting medical.
So for now.
So for now, from the Two Travelers in Mexico, as always,
What she did.
bye guys.
Bye.